What's going on, family? This is Noah. I'm broadcasting to you from Kailua Kona, Hawaii, Big Island, 808. The sun's setting. I'm at Hamburger Hill, sitting at the Mickey D's. Uh, I just went through recording like 3 videos, and then I was going to try to splice it all together and make something kind of fancier, but I deleted them all. I can't do it, so I'm just going to have to hit it all in one crack, one speed, one video, and post them as I go. So I don't even know. This is YouTube. I'm not sure how long of a video they let me record on here, but I'm experimenting recording straight to YouTube instead of on my own phone. Anyway, I left off on the last video talking about, I'd mentioned energy and something about matter being infinitely dense, and I wanted to expound upon that. I got a million different things I could talk about and probably will in future videos, but for whatever reason it just kind of gravitated towards talking about this for for the beginning. If nothing else, it's good practice for me to talking to the camera and stuff like that. So I'll start with the ending. If matter is infinitely dense, like there's no space between my eyes and this phone screen, and there's really, wherever you are on the planet watching this right now, no space between you and I. As a matter of fact, we're the same thing. We're all part of one thing. Ultimately, we are all God. It's God. So if there's no such thing as empty space, and it's really infinite density, as opposed to what Sir Isaac Newton said about matter being tiny particles separated by empty space. Well, what does that mean? To me, what it means is, if this is infinite density, then every part of my experience is as real as everything else, including my thoughts, including my dreams, my aspirations, love. And if you can grasp that, you begin to understand how important your mindset is, and the power of the mind, and what you can accomplish and overcome with your mind. And okay, well, it's nice to say it's okay, infinitely dense and everything's as real as everything else, but how prove it? Well, I mentioned Nassim Haramein. Please, YouTube, Nassim Haramein, Grand Unified Field Theory is the name of the video, an hour and a half long. He's got a bunch of them out there, but physicists, for those of you that don't know, for years and years have been trying to unify the 4 fields of whatever, I don't know what it's called, gravitational force, the strong and the weak forces, whatever. He claimed to have accomplished that. So what it is, he tells this story. He's 11 years old, sitting in a classroom, teacher's teaching geometry, puts a point on the board. So this is a point, it represents a point in space and time, but it doesn't exist because it doesn't contain volume. Then 2 points. Okay, well, there's 2 points with a line connecting them. This is a line, but it's not really anything because it doesn't contain volume. Things need to be 3-dimensional for them to be in our reality. And then 4 lines, you get a square. But then you take 6 of those squares, you get a cube that contains volume. So miraculously, out of nothing, you get something. It didn't make sense to him. At 11 years old, he had this epiphany. He went home thinking about this point, and he just kept focusing in on that dot and thinking about moving infinitely in. Smaller and smaller and smaller. I mean, you can think about it from an atom in your body, to the house you're in, to the neighborhood you're in, to the town you're in, to the state, to the country, to the planet, to the solar system, to the galaxy. What if the universe goes on forever and there's no end to how far out you can expand? And what if it goes in forever and there's no limit to how far in you can go? So that was the kind of thing, a single point going out and coming in, and that was like the epiphany that he had. He goes on to talk about the mathematical models that they use in mainstream physics to explain the distances of the stars, the mass of planets, everything. Those mathematical models, when you apply them to 2 specific things, you get: 1, the mass of a proton is 10 to the 93rd power grams per centimeter cubed. 2, the mass of the entire universe is only 10 to the 53rd power grams per centimeter cubed. How can one single proton that you could fit hundreds of millions on the head of a pin be more massive than the entire universe with every proton in it? It only begins to make sense if possibly this is actually infinitely dense. It was interesting to me that I grew up with a dad that was kind of more of an economist than anything else, and one of his big things was the The standard of living of any people on the planet is directly proportionate to the amount of energy they consume. The more energy they consume, the higher their standard of living. It's a touchy subject because you get into that, you start, I didn't want to right now, but you get into like Prince Charles World Wildlife Fund, you know, how they colonized Africa under the guise of environmentalism. Big up to the Africans out there, man. I mean, I don't know how many are watching this. I doubt this video is getting played in Mogadishu right now, but I got love for them. So the amount of energy you consume is directly proportionate to your standard of living. If energy is infinite, first of all, if density, if mass, if our experience, what I started off talking about, is true, and that we're infinitely dense, well then so is energy infinitely abundant. It's E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Energy is directly proportionate to mass and density. So if there's an infinite amount of mass, there's an infinite amount of energy. So at the time I was already kind of interested in some perpetual energy machines, superconductors, things like that. And the thought of a real scientific explanation for that explained our experience, our reality as being infinitely dense, really appealed to me. So that's that. I don't know if any of that made sense to you or not, but if it's caught anyone's interest, or if you've got any thoughts of your own, or have talked about, you know, manifesting your reality or the law of attraction, or ask people to see The Secret, and you'd like to actually understand to a greater degree scientifically why it's possible to attract things that way, hit me up, you know, or give me feedback. I'll make more videos expound in greater detail. Yeah, so that's Nassim Haramein. That's in a nutshell, you know. Kind of along those lines, I'm also really interested in ORMs, which are orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. There's a gold, a monoatomic gold. It's a white powdery substance. You can ingest it. It's really interesting. 5,000 years ago, at the same time that they supposedly, there's theories of Anunnaki showing up in Samaria. At that time, at the exact same time, the largest deposits of monoatomic gold on the planet were right there in Samaria. Now, the largest deposits of monoatomic gold happen to be, at least I've heard, right here on the big island of Hawaii where I'm at. I think a lot of it's in the water. I had a friend that I was locked up in jail with, and he was getting involved because he had some friends that own some land down at Ocean View, and he told me about these Guggenheims that, I don't know if you recognize that name. Guggenheim is a big family. They were poking around down there trying to, I don't know exactly what their interest is, but it was around monoatomic gold. So that's a big interest. And also the quantum computers that Google has built. There's a law that said that every 2 years the processing speed of a silicone chip doubles in speed, but only to the point at which the silicone is so small it can't carry that electrical charge anymore without melting. At that point, they knew they were going to have to break away from silicone and do something else. Well, one of the things they've done, believe it or not, is built these two giant black boxes called quantum computers. They're the size of like containers, like a Connex. That's the only word I know for it. Back in ironwork, we call them Connex. They super cool it to like absolute zero. They're like the temperature of space, and they overlap two universes. They know parallel universes exist, and I don't know if it's just at a molecular level or what, but somehow they overlap two universes and draw processing power and processing speed from that overlap. And I personally believe that a lot of funky stuff that goes on the planet is due A, to that, and B, some really weird things. I'm not so sure that they're not already bending space and time at CERN. You know, like if you think about it, you know, something that is 50 billion light years away, but then you take the end point that you're trying to get to that far away and you bend it to where you're at, it's right next to you. And I think they might be doing that, but I'm not sure about that. But so anyway, that kind of stuff is really interesting to me. It's just speculation and theory, and I search for YouTube videos and people that know about it. But as far as the nature of reality being infinitely dense, I wholeheartedly believe in that. I believe that there's no such thing as empty space. My brain is really fried. You know, I did a lot of drugs, and unfortunately, it hurt my brain a great deal, and I can't wrap my brain around things that I used to. But I'm trying, you know, and these videos really help. And people out there watching it, my Aunt Chris, my Uncle Mike, Grandma, Grandpa, Slamansky, Amber Shooty, she's been hitting me up. I just saw Lindsay Whiting, Mercini, big to their family, and I don't know, all kinds of people that I haven't seen in years and years and years, and I love you all very much. Paul, my cousin Paul, I just got back in touch with again. And anybody else out there. So I don't know who ends up watching these things and who doesn't. It's only, you know, like 30, 40, 50 people that end up seeing it, but at least I'm communicating something of myself to somebody. And to me, this is of far greater importance than any text message, instant messengers. I mean, man, it's nuts. I miss the days of rotary phones. I mean, I look in groups of like 5, 10 people, and they're all like this. Can you see that? This is what people look like to me, with their head down, you know, because of these fucking phones, you know. So, but at least I'm trying to use it as a tool or something good. I love you all, and peace.